My parents threw my sister a surprise $50,000 party, then Venmo requested me $200 for my birthday dinner last year. Just a quick pause, your support means the world to us. Please subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you. My phone buzzed during my lunch break at the hospital where I work as a surgical nurse. A Venmo notification. My stomach dropped before I even opened it. Mom had requested $200 with a note, your share of last year's birthday dinner at Maggiano's. Dad and I reviewed our finances. I stared at the screen, my turkey sandwich turning to paste in my mouth. Last year's birthday dinner. The one where they'd invited me to celebrate my 30th birthday, insisted on choosing the restaurant, ordered 3 bottles of wine I didn't drink, then spent 2 hours talking about my sister Destiny's new marketing job. I remembered sitting there, smiling through their stories about her promotion, her new condo in Buckhead, her perfect boyfriend Gary. They'd given me a card with $50 inside and told me to treat myself to something nice. Now they wanted me to pay them back for my own birthday dinner. My hands shook as I scrolled up through our message history. Nothing. No, hey, hope you don't mind, or we're in a tight spot. Just the cold, transactional request sitting in my notifications like a bill from a stranger. I looked around the break room at my coworkers laughing, eating, living normal lives with normal families. My supervisor, Janet, caught my expression. You good, Simone? She asked. I nodded, unable to speak, and shoved my phone into my scrubs pocket where it burned against my thigh like a hot coal. I had $4,000 in savings. It had taken me 3 years to build that cushion on a nurse's salary while paying off student loans. $200 shouldn't matter. But somehow, it mattered more than anything ever had. I made it through my shift on autopilot, checking vitals and changing IVs while my mind spun in circles. At 7 p.m., sitting in Atlanta traffic on I-85, I made the mistake of opening Instagram. Destiny's feed loaded, and there it was. Photo after photo of what looked like a wedding reception, but the caption read, couldn't have asked for a more perfect 28th birthday celebration. Mom and Dad, you're incredible. I'm crying. This is too much. My vision blurred. The venue was the Georgian Terrace, the historic hotel across from the Fox Theater. I'd looked at it once for a friend's baby shower and nearly choked at the $10,000 venue fee. In the photos, there were ice sculptures. A live band. Floral arrangements taller than me. At least 100 guests in cocktail attire, holding champagne flutes under string lights. My sister, in a custom dress that probably cost more than my car payment, beaming beside my parents. My mother wore the Tadashi shoji gown she'd said was too expensive to wear to my college graduation. My father, in a tuxedo, had his arms around both of them. I pulled over into a cutie parking lot because my hands were shaking too hard to drive. I scrolled through 47 posts. Destiny had tagged the vendors. The cake alone was from For Goodness Cakes, easily $2,000. The catering was from Proof of the Pudding. My throat closed up. I called my best friend, Margie, and when she answered, I couldn't speak. Simone. Baby, what's wrong? She demanded. They threw her a $50,000 party, I finally choked out. Who? What are you, my parents? For Destiny's 28th birthday. And they just Venmo requested me for my 30th birthday dinner last year. Margie stayed on the phone with me for an hour in that parking lot, talking me down from the rage crying that had taken over. You need to call them, she said finally. You need to hear what they say to your face. Well, voice. I didn't want to. I wanted to ghost them, block them, disappear into a new life where I wasn't the daughter who got $50 in a card while her sister got ice sculptures. But Margie was right. I needed to hear them explain this. My mother answered on the third ring, her voice bright and energetic. Simone. Did you see the party photos? Wasn't it magical? I saw them, I said slowly. Mom, I need to ask you something. Of course, honey. Oh, wait, did you get my Venmo request? I know it's been a while, but we're trying to clean up our books before tax season, and you want me to pay you back $200 for my own birthday dinner, I interrupted. The same year you threw Destiny a $50,000 party. Silence. Long enough that I checked if the call had dropped. Well, she said finally, her voice cooling by 20 degrees, those are two completely different situations, Simone. Destiny's party was a milestone celebration. 28 is a significant age. I turned 30. 30 is literally the milestone birthday. And we took you to a lovely dinner. Maggiano's isn't cheap, you know. We spent over $600 that night with tip. My mouth fell open. Mom, you're actually justifying this right now. Justify what? Your father and I work hard for our money, Simone. We can't be expected to fund everyone's celebrations indefinitely. You're 30 years old. You have a career. So does Destiny. She makes more than me. Well, my mother said, her voice dripping with something I couldn't name, Destiny has always been more responsible with building her career trajectory. Maybe if you'd chosen a more lucrative. I hung up. I actually hung up on my mother for the first time in my life. My whole body was shaking, my vision tunneled to a pinpoint of pure rage. The phone rang immediately. I declined it. It rang again. Declined. Then a text, that was incredibly rude. Call me back so we can discuss this like adults. I threw my phone into the passenger seat and screamed. A couple walking into the cutie looked over, alarmed, and I realized I was having a breakdown in public. I drove home to my modest one-bedroom apartment in East Atlanta, the one I could barely afford, the one my parents had never visited because they said the neighborhood wasn't safe. Destiny lived in a luxury condo in Buckhead that my parents helped her buy. When I got inside, I poured a glass of wine I couldn't afford and opened my laptop. I needed to see exactly what had happened at this party. I needed to understand the scope of what they'd done for her while nickel-and-diming me. The vendor tags led me to a website for the event planner, Elite Celebrations by Monica. I clicked through her portfolio until I found Destiny's party, listed as a featured event. The write-up made me physically ill. A sophisticated 28th birthday soiree for 120 guests, featuring a Gatsby-inspired theme with Art Deco elements, specialty cocktails, a 7-piece band, custom floral installations, and a dessert bar with imported French macarons. The estimated investment? $55,000. Not 50. 55. I'd been off by $5,000. My phone was ringing again. Dad this time. I stared at his name on the screen, remembering every time he'd told me to be more practical about money, every lecture about living within my means. I answered. Do you have any idea how hurtful this is? I said instead of hello. Simone, your mother is very upset, Dad said, his voice heavy with disappointment. The same tone he'd used when I was 16 and came home past curfew. You hung up on her. She told me I should have chosen a more lucrative career than nursing, I shot back. During a pandemic where I risked my life daily, she said that to me. She didn't mean it like that, and you know it. You're being sensitive. There it was. The phrase that had defined my childhood. Too sensitive. Too emotional. Too dramatic. Dad, you threw Destiny a $55,000 party and then asked me to pay you back for my own birthday dinner. How is that fair? He sighed, long and weary. Simone, that party was an investment in Destiny's future. She's at a point in her career where connections matter. We invited her colleagues, her boyfriend's family, people who could help her network. It wasn't just a party, it was strategic. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Strategic. My 30th birthday was strategic. What was the strategy there? See how little you could spend. That's not fair. We're not made of money, sweetheart. That party for your sister, we saved for over a year. We cashed in some investments. It was a one-time thing. So you saved for a year to give her a party but couldn't save $50 more to not include a Walmart gift card for my milestone birthday. We gave you money. $50 to spend on yourself, plus dinner. You're literally asking for the dinner back, Dad. My voice cracked. You sent me a Venmo request for my own birthday dinner like I'm some random friend who needs to split a check. Because we need to balance our accounts, he said, frustration bleeding into his tone. We spent a lot on your sister, and we need to recoup where we can. You have a good job. $200 is nothing to you. It's not about the money. I was shouting now, tears streaming down my face. It's about what it means. You spent $55,000 on Destiny without blinking, but you need to recoup $200 from me. Do you hear yourself? Simone, you're making this into something it's not. What is it then? Explain it to me like I'm stupid, Dad, because I'm trying to understand how your daughter who worked through COVID, who held dying patients' hands when their families couldn't be there, who sacrificed everything for her career, how does she get treated like a financial burden while the marketing executive gets ice sculptures? Silence. Then, quietly, you've always been jealous of your sister. The words hit me like a physical blow. I sat down hard on my couch, the wine glass slipping from my hand and shattering on the floor. What? Since you were kids. Destiny excels, and you get resentful. She can't help that she's more driven, more successful, more successful. Dad, I save lives. I literally save human lives for a living. And that's admirable, honey, it really is. But Destiny is building something. She's making strategic moves. She's dating a man from a good family. She's what I'm not, I finished, my voice hollow. That's what you mean. She's the daughter you actually wanted. Simone, don't be dramatic, don't call me dramatic. I screamed it, something feral and broken tearing loose in my chest. Don't you dare call me dramatic when you just asked your daughter to reimburse you for her own birthday dinner the same year you spent enough money on her sister to buy a fucking car. I hung up again. This time, I turned my phone completely off. I sat in the dark of my apartment, glass shards glittering on the floor, and let myself feel the full weight of what I'd always known but never admitted. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I did something I'd been avoiding for years. I went through old photos, old emails, old Facebook posts, and I documented everything. My high school graduation, family dinner at Olive Garden, split 4 ways. Destiny's high school graduation 2 years later, private party at a country club, at least 50 people, professional photographer. My college graduation, the Tadashi Shoji dress incident, where mom said it was too expensive for just a graduation. They gave me $500 and told me to be smart with it. Destiny's college graduation, they bought her a car. A used Honda, sure, but a car. $12,000. When I got my nursing license, they took me to Cheesecake Factory and posted a single photo on Facebook, proud of our Simone, with 2 exclamation points. When Destiny got her first marketing promotion, they threw a dinner party at their house for 30 people and changed their Facebook banners to her professional headshot with "Proud Parents" overlaid in script font. I kept going. My 25th birthday, dinner at home, homemade cake. Destiny's 25th, weekend trip to Charleston, the 3 of them, photos at every picturesque location. I hadn't been invited. Sister bonding time, mom had said when I asked why. At 3 a.m., I opened a new document and started writing everything down. Dates, amounts, occasions. The pattern was undeniable. The pattern had always been there. I'd just been too afraid to see it. When my phone powered back on at sunrise, I had 43 text messages. Most from mom and dad, escalating from concern to angry to guilting. Your mother is crying. This is very hurtful behavior. We raised you better than this. 3 were from Destiny. Mom says you're mad about my party. It was a surprise, I didn't plan it. You're being really unfair to them right now. Can you just apologize so we can move on? You're ruining everything. I called Destiny back at 7 a.m., knowing she'd be awake. She was always an early riser, hitting the gym before work like the perfect daughter she was. Finally, she answered. Simone, what is going on? Mom called me crying last night. She said you accused them of favoritism and, did you know? I interrupted. Did you know they were asking me to pay them back for my birthday dinner? Pause. What? Last year. My 30th birthday. The dinner at Maggiano's. They sent me a Venmo request for $200 yesterday. Did you know? No, wait, are you serious? Her voice shifted, uncertain. They're asking you to pay them back. Yes. The same year they spent $55,000 on your birthday party. Simone, I didn't ask for that party. You know I didn't. They surprised me. I walked into that venue thinking it was a work event, and you loved it, I said flatly. You posted 47 photos. You cried about how incredible they are. You called it the best night of your life. Because it was. Because they did something amazing for me, and I was grateful. What was I supposed to do, refuse it? No, I said, something heavy settling in my chest. But you could have noticed. You could have, at any point in our lives, noticed that they treat you differently than me. Silence. Long and damning. Simone. When was the last time you asked how I was doing? The question surprised even me. When was the last time you called me just to talk? When was the last time you acknowledged that I worked through a pandemic while you worked from your luxury condo that mom and dad helped you buy? That's not fair, you didn't even text me on my 30th birthday, Destiny. You didn't call. You didn't send a card. Nothing. I was busy, Destiny said defensively. I had that product launch, and Gary was. You weren't too busy to post 8 Instagram stories that day, I said. I'd checked. I'd looked it up last night in my documentation spiral. You posted about your morning workout, your acai bowl, your meeting with clients, your dinner date. You weren't busy. You just didn't care. That's not, Simone, you're twisting things. Am I? Did you know they've never visited my apartment? Not once in the 3 years I've lived here. But they helped you move into your place. Dad spent a whole weekend building your bookshelves. Because you live in a bad neighborhood. They're worried about parking, about safety. I live in East Atlanta, Destiny. Not a war zone. They don't visit because they're ashamed of where I live. Just like they're ashamed that I'm a nurse instead of an executive. Just like they're ashamed that I'm single and you have Gary, that I drive a 10-year-old Toyota and you drive a Lexus, stop it. She was crying now. Stop making everything about you. You're always doing this, always playing the victim, always jealous of what I have. There it is, I breathed. That's what Dad said. That I've always been jealous of you. Because you have been. Since we were kids. I couldn't have anything without you getting bitter about it. I was bitter because Mom and Dad would buy you American Girl dolls and tell me we couldn't afford one for me. I was bitter because you got to take dance classes while I had to share a used clarinet in band. I was bitter because for my 16th birthday, I got a cake from Kroger, and for yours, they rented out a room at a restaurant. My voice broke. I was a child, Destiny. A child watching her parents give her sister everything while she got scraps. And instead of standing up for me, you enjoyed it. That's not true, Destiny whispered, but there was no conviction in it. Okay, I said, suddenly exhausted. Tell me one time. One single time you stood up for me when Mom and Dad were treating me differently. One time you said, "Hey, this isn't fair to Simone." Just one. The silence stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. I can't think of one, she finally admitted. Because there wasn't one. Because you benefited from it, so why would you? I heard her crying harder now. I didn't realize it was that bad. I don't know what I thought. I thought they just related to me more because we had similar career paths, similar interests. You thought I was dramatic and jealous, just like they told you to think, I said. And maybe I was. Maybe when you're the less loved child, you get dramatic and jealous because it's the only way to get any attention at all. Simone, I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't see it. I believe you, I said, and I did. But that almost makes it worse. That it was so normal to everyone that nobody noticed. Nobody thought, hey, maybe we should spend more than $50 on Simone's milestone birthday. Nobody thought, hey, maybe we shouldn't ask her to pay us back after spending $55,000 on her sister. What are you going to do? Destiny asked. I don't know, I admitted. But I know I can't keep doing this. I can't keep showing up to family dinners and pretending I'm fine. I can't keep watching them celebrate you and tolerate me. They don't just tolerate you, yes, they do. And so do you. The words hung between us like smoke. I have to go, I said. My shift starts in an hour. Simone, wait, but I hung up. I was getting good at that. I got ready for work in a fog, my eyes swollen from crying, my hands mechanical as I put on my scrubs. In the mirror, I looked like a stranger. 30 years old. Saving lives. Alone. That night, after another 12-hour shift where I smiled and joked and held it together, I sat down and wrote an email to my parents. Not a text. Not a call. An email where I could say everything without being interrupted or told I was being dramatic. Mom and Dad, I began. I'm not paying you back for my birthday dinner. I want to be clear about that up front. Not because I can't afford it, but because it would be participating in my own diminishment, and I won't do that anymore. I detailed everything. Every disparity, every moment, every instance where Destiny got the world and I got a pat on the head. I included dollar amounts where I remembered them. I included dates. I was clinical, factual, a nurse documenting symptoms for a diagnosis. I don't think you set out to have a favorite child, I wrote. I think it happened gradually. Destiny was easier, maybe. She wanted what you wanted. She valued what you valued. She became successful in ways you understood and could brag about. And I became the child you apologized for, explained away, the one who chose a different path, as if saving lives was something that needed justification. My hands were shaking, but I kept typing. But here's what you need to understand, I'm good at what I do. I'm excellent at it. I've held more hands in their final moments than I can count. I've brought people back from the edge. I've been thanked by families, hugged by strangers, told I'm an angel by people who don't know I go home and cry in the shower because the job is so hard. And none of that has ever been enough for you. Meanwhile, Destiny posts an Instagram story about a client meeting, and you're sharing it with, "So proud," captions. The disparity is staggering. And it took you asking me to Venmo you $200 for me to finally see it clearly. I continued typing, something fierce and clean burning in my chest. So here's what's going to happen. I'm taking a break from this family. No Sunday dinners. No holiday obligations. No pretending I'm fine while you lavish attention on Destiny and treat me like an afterthought. I'm done. If you want a relationship with me going forward, it will require acknowledgement. Not an apology. I don't think you're capable of that without making it about your hurt feelings. But acknowledgement. We treated you differently. It wasn't fair. We see that now. That's the baseline. And it will require change. No more requesting money from me while funding Destiny's lifestyle. No more comparing us. No more suggesting I should have made different career choices. No more calling me dramatic when I express hurt. No more tolerating me while celebrating her. I don't need a $50,000 party. I never did. I needed parents who were equally proud of both their daughters. I needed to feel like I mattered as much as my sister. I needed to not be an afterthought in my own family. I paused, wiping my eyes, then wrote the last paragraph. I love you both. I want to be clear about that. This isn't easy for me. But I love myself more, and I can't keep accepting crumbs while you give her the whole cake. The ball is in your court. Until you're ready to have an honest conversation about this pattern, I need space to heal from 30 years of feeling like I wasn't quite good enough. I signed it simply, Simone. My finger hovered over send for 10 minutes. This would detonate my family. This would make everything worse before it got better, if it ever got better. But as I sat there in my small apartment that they'd never visited, wearing scrubs still smelling of hospital disinfectant, I thought about the 22-year-old woman I'd held yesterday as she coded. I'd brought her back. I'd saved her life. And I couldn't save my own. I hit send at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. The response came at 6 a.m. the next morning, but not from my parents. Destiny texted, "Did you really just send them that email?" "Yes," I replied. "Simone, they're devastated. Mom is hysterical. Dad locked himself in his office. You can't just blow up the family like this." I didn't blow it up, I wrote back. I just stopped pretending the bomb wasn't already there. My parents didn't respond that day. Or the next. On day 3, my father sent a single text, "Your mother and I need time to process this. Your accusations are hurtful and largely unfounded. We've always loved you equally. If you can't see that, that's a you problem, not an us problem." I read it twice, feeling something settle in my chest. Acceptance, maybe. Or just clarity. I forwarded the text to Margie, who called immediately. "Baby, I'm so proud of you," she said. "Are you okay?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I feel like I just jumped off a cliff." "You did. But maybe you'll finally learn to fly." 3 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a woman's voice said, "Simone. This is your Aunt Carol. Your mother's sister. I heard about what happened, and I want you to know, I see you. I've always seen you. And you're right." We talked for 2 hours. She told me stories about my mother's childhood, about favoritism in their own family, about patterns that repeat until someone's brave enough to break them. "Your grandmother did the same thing to your mom," Carol said. "Favored her sister. Your mom swore she'd never do that to her kids, but she did," I finished. "But she did." My parents eventually sent a family therapist's contact information with a note, "If you insist on addressing this, we'll do it professionally." It wasn't acknowledgement. But it was something. As I write this now, 6 months later, we're 4 sessions into family therapy. It's brutal. Mom cries through every session. Dad gets defensive. Destiny started coming too, unpacking her own guilt. We're not fixed. We might never be. But I'm not accepting crumbs anymore, and that's enough for now. The Venmo request. I never paid it. It's still sitting there in my notifications, a reminder of the moment I finally chose myself. Best $200 I never spent.